Welcome to Accounting Disruptor Conversations. I'm your host, Liz Farr from CPA Trendlines. And here I'm talking to owners of firms who are doing things differently than your parents' accountants. My guest today's special treat is Salim Omar. He is the owner of Straight Talk CPAs, the author of The Ultimate CPA Practice in the New Economy, the $1 Million CPA Firm, and Straight Talk about small business success in New Jersey. And he's also the host of the Straight Talk Transitions podcast. Welcome to the show, Salim. What an honor.
Thank you, Liz. Appreciate it, and looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you very much. Now, Salim, you were one of the very first CPAs who spoke and wrote about a different way to operate an accounting firm. Can you tell listeners a bit about how that came about?
Yeah, it came out of my own challenges when I started my firm back in 96. So I've been at it for many years, 27 years to be precise. And when I started my firm, I had worked as a CFO in a small investment boutique firm before. And I thought, you know what? It'd be great to be my own boss. Started my own firm, and it was very difficult and very challenging. I found myself working long hours. I was not enjoying the work I was doing. Having the team was a revolving door. And I was like, there's got to be a better way. I mean, is that why I left my six-figure salary as a CFO to do this? And if this is what entrepreneurship is, I'm not sure if I want it anymore. But, I started studying, and I came across a few good books that kind of gave me a different way of looking at my practice. It opened my eyes up a little bit, got a glimpse of what it could be. And I got very excited and intrigued at the possibilities of creating a business that would serve me, that would work for me. And that just became a journey of curiosity, where I started studying, reading prolifically other entrepreneurs. And interestingly enough, Liz, many of these entrepreneurs were outside the accounting industry. They were in other industries, other businesses. And I just took what they were saying and what they were doing in their business, and they were getting success, and I brought it back to my own practice. And I just started small tweaks, a little bit here, a little bit there. And over time, in a matter of a few years, my practice was very different to what it had been when I started it a few years back.
Well, that's fantastic. Now, in your most recent book, The $1 Million CPA Firm, which came out in 2016, you lay out a blueprint of 7 principles that create a firm that serves everyone a little bit better. Can you talk a little bit about this framework?
Yeah, so the biggest pieces or the most important elements in an accounting firm are 3 things. Like, it can kind of, summarize it into 3 things. Client attraction, we want to bring in the right type of clients. We want to have the right type of clients. We want to have the right team in place. I call it a championship team. And then we want to streamline our operations with having systems and processes and workflow. And so creating these 3 things and paying attention to these 3 things became my focus as the CEO. And within each of these are various different elements. But I believe, and this is really what's worked for me, is paying attention to these 3 bigger pieces within the framework. And I call it the genius model. Client attraction, if you're bringing in the right type of clients and you've got the right team in place, then the business owner, the CPA owner, he has freedom. She has freedom. They're not the one behind the desk having to do the work. And when there is client interaction in place and you've got streamlined operations, things are being done in the best way possible, then you've got the highest income for the owner. And so paying attention to these three things allows the business owner, the practice owner, to have freedom, allows him or her to have the highest possible profit, income, and it allows them to make an impact because the CPA firm owner is not really toiling away at getting the work done. They've got all that in place. They're adding value to their clients, and they're the ones, developing those meaningful relationships with the clients. And Liz, many times I talk to CPA firm owners and they're so busy doing the work and they're so exhausted from it that they don't have the time and energy to do that. And rightfully so. I mean, if you're working so long and hard, there's just so much a human body can do. And it's allocating those resources, it's allocating that time and energy and doing a different type of work. And that makes a big difference for the practice.
I love that really streamlined approach that you laid out. Get the right clients, the right team, and the right processes. And all three of those are things that I rarely saw in my time in public accounting. So, why is it that firm owners really struggle with this? There been books like yours, or podcasts, or go to conferences, you hear people. Why is it that firm owners don't do this?
That's a great question. And I've often wondered that myself. Why don't firm owners do that? I mean, there's the CPA owners, people in the profession, they are like one of the best people on planet Earth. And they want to help everyone. They're just very kind and generous people. And that kind of goes to our detriment here, that we want to help everyone. And sometimes that the negative, of that is that if we try and help everyone, then we kind of, we don't help anyone, And so becoming clear about who is it that you want to have and you want to serve. And you got to value your time. The CPA has to value the value that they bring to the table. And they've got to design a service package that is right for their ideal client. So I want to only bring in a client that I'm going to be able to help them with a full service package. If somebody is if a client just looking for payroll help or sales tax help, or they just want bookkeeping, they're not the right client for us. Yeah, we want a client at my firm. We want a client that wants the whole thing. They want a CPA firm that's going to do not only the compliance, but is going to take that compliance and have a relationship with the client and give them value in the form of advice, financial advice, profitability advice, tax planning advice, and to do that. And so when we are signing up a client through our sales process, we are identifying what is the client's $100,000 problem. We don't want to identify what is the $10,000 problem. Most likely the $10,000 problem is, I'm looking for a bookkeeper who can do my thing, or I'm looking for, for an accountant that can prepare my taxes. That's kind of their initial shallower problem. But when we dig deeper, you will find out that this business owner wants to grow their business. She wants to make it more profitable. She wants to work less. He or she wants to pay less taxes. And when we identify their $100,000 problem, then we've set the stage for the business lead, the prospect, to ask, hey, can you help me with all these things? You're asking me all these questions. Can you help me with that? And the answer is yes. Our service package is the perfect solution for business owners like yourself. They want to grow. They want to become more profitable. They want to pay less tax. And so now we've got a business owner that's generating $500,000 in revenues or $1 million in revenues. And they're like, yeah, this service package of yours is what I need. And the fees for the service package is going to be $7,500 to say $10,000 a year. And the business owner is willing to pay that because now they've got a client, they've got a CPA firm that's really going to help them achieve what they want to achieve.
Yeah, and I think that you've really hit on one of the magic things. That is that we're always willing to pay more for the things we really want at a deep level than for the things that we need. You know, that's why there are luxury cars and luxury watches. You know, a Tesla will do the same thing as a Toyota or a Hyundai, but in a much more elegant and refined way.
Mm.
And so by looking at what the client really wants, the big picture, then you really can demonstrate that this is an investment that will pay off to the client.
Yeah, and their want is bordering a need, right? Their want is so strong that for a good number of them, it's almost a need. Mm-hmm. And when it's almost a need for them, then they will do something about it. Right?
Absolutely.
And we only want to work with people that really see in their head, wow, I need Straight Talk CPAs. I need Salim's firm, is when they'll make the jump because they're probably paying a fraction of the fees and they're probably getting a fraction of the value, right? So they need to make that jump in their head. And in order to do that, it's the need. And if you think about it, Liz, I mean, a business owner, they're passionate about it. They have left some job. They've started their own business. They really want it to be a success. And they'll pretty much do anything to make it a success. As CPAs, when we're having this conversation with them, we just got to make it simple. And we got to kind of set ourselves up, set the stage to have that conversation. And that conversation is, where are you at, Mr. Business Owner? Where do you want to go? What are your goals? And what's getting in your way? Like we just kind of have that conversation. Where are you at? Where do you want to go? 3 years from now, what's your vision? And what's getting in your way? Because that's what we do. And once they've shared their story, it's like, yeah, if you don't mind, let me share a little bit about how we help business owners like yourself. We help them with our service package that gets them from where they are to where they want to go.
I love it. And that model could also be applied to so many owners of CPA firms. When your book came out, the $1 Million CPA firm came out, I spent hours and hours talking to my then boss about implementing some of the ideas. He was very excited about it. And like you, he had worked as a CFO, and so he was really excited about it. But then this little firm he was in merged into a bigger firm, and he just got caught up in the busyness of everything. So what advice do you have for firm owners who are down here and they want to get up here, but there is this trap of busyness in the middle? What advice do you have?
So first is awareness, right? For the firm owner, the CPA to say, you know what? I do want to change things. I want to change things up. Everything starts with self-awareness, right? And that's the starting point. And let's say that, okay, the listener, the viewer says, well, yeah, I get it. I want to change. Second thing is you got to free yourself up from the business.
Mhm.
Yeah. And the best way to do that is to delegate. It's like, hey, what am I spending my time every day? If you're preparing tax returns, if you're reviewing tax returns, and you're doing any kind of stuff that you're like, wow, I can get somebody to do this for me. I don't have to be the one doing this. And start emptying your plate, because I bet you it's so filled, it's overfilled, and it's not helping you when it's so full. So start emptying the plate with things you can delegate. I used to, when I used to kind of, when I was in the coaching space for CPAs, I'd say, and sometimes, if I'm in a conference, one of the things I'd say is delegate to elevate. And so delegate. So if you want to elevate yourself, you got to delegate. And that's so critical.
Yeah, and delegating also elevates your team members because they now have to step up and do this work. They have to be the one doing the things that the partner or the manager used to do.
Mm. Yeah, it's growth for them as well, right? They get to
Yes.
experience new things.
Yes. Now, one of the three elements in your genius model is marketing and attracting clients. Now, a lot of accountants used to be really challenged by this idea of marketing, and the younger generation, not so much. But what ideas do you have to help CPAs become more comfortable with marketing?
And I don't know, Liz, if CPAs are not comfortable with marketing. I think they're not comfortable with sales, right? If marketing does a good job, sales, the thing we don't enjoy, I don't know if many people enjoy that part. Sales becomes a whole lot easier. Sales becomes a conversation. Sales becomes I'm helping a prospect, right? So marketing has to do what marketing is meant to do, which is getting a prospective lead warmed up, right? And we can warm up our audience by writing an article, by creating a video, and things along those lines, right? A blog post article. These are all ways to educate our prospective client. And they read it, they learn about us, they're like, wow, this CPA really knows what they're saying. And they come to the conclusion that, yeah, and if they're ready to, they want to, talk about services and so forth, they'll do the reach out and it becomes then a sales call, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what marketing needs to do in its true sense. It's educate. I call it education-based marketing. It's simply educate the marketplace. Yeah, there's so many things we can educate. We get so much knowledge. We work with so many clients. Become a content creator. Educate problems your clients are facing. Right? Hey, I was talking to one of my clients, John. He's facing with this problem, and this is the advice I gave him. I gave him these 3 solutions to help him with this problem. Right? Real case scenario. Yeah, a CPA helping their client John with a problem that John had come to them with. You put that down in a form of a video. You put that down, in the form of an article. Somebody out there reads it, and now they're educated. They know about you. You put good information, good content out there. For me, that's marketing. I mean, that's an important aspect of marketing, is to do that. Just putting out a lot of good content. If you look at the Straight Talk website, you'll see, there's a blog article, and we, take some time and we, write, create that content. And that's how one of the ways that people find us, find my firm, is through relevant, good value, good information. And of course, there are a good number of people that will read the content and they won't, and that'll be suffice. They don't want, they're not going to hire you, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. My friend Brian Clark, who I know through the copywriting world, talks about content marketing, which is what you're doing, as giving enough information, providing enough information that somebody will feel comfortable with you and comfortable enough to do business with you. So that really is an easier way for accountants to think about marketing. It's just sharing your expertise.
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing I'll add here, what marketing means also is positioning. You want to position yourself as not just another accountant. You want to be the accountant that stands out, that is different from all the other accounting firms. And so the way you show up gets the prospect intrigued that this is a unique type of a firm. It's a different type of a firm. This firm is going to give me this firm is going to be the solution I have been looking for. And so positioning, so making sure that our website communicates our unique value prop. Yeah. The website communicates who we are and the culture and the types of clients we help with, so that the prospective client goes on the website and they start looking around and like, wow, this is unique, this is different. I want to take that next step and I want to meet with them. And it could be then a Zoom call or an in-person meeting, whatever that is. And they kind of take that next step towards becoming a client. And that's what marketing is.
That makes it sound so easy, and I wish that more CPAs would just see marketing as something pretty easy that they can do. Now, I want to go back to another element of your genius system, getting a good team in place. Now, talent has been really scarce. So, what are the things that you have been doing to attract the right kinds of people and keep them?
Yeah, I mean, talent's been a conversation in the industry for over a decade. And I realized it. I saw that 10 plus years myself, kind of just with where things were at with talent, the scarcity. And I started developing a global team. And that's been huge. Not, just kind of broadening. And, we had a physical office. So, within the US, I mean, for many years, for 26 years, I had an office. My firm was in New Jersey. And then last tax season, right after tax season, 2023, we went virtual. So we had a beautiful 2,500 square foot, 3,000 square foot office. And we gave that up because if we were going to have that office, it meant that we would have to staff it with people that lived around in that near that office. And just doing that broadened who we can hire. So now we can hire anybody in the US. And then going beyond that, we can hire anybody in the world. And that's been amazing. Because there is a lot of good talent. If you don't restrict it to your 5 miles or 10 miles from the office.
Exactly. And what do you do to keep the good people? Now that you can attract throughout the world, what do you do to keep the really good people? Say you find somebody in in Washington State who is a perfect fit. How do you keep them? How do you keep them engaged?
So the person in Washington State, first we got to recruit them. We got to hire them. We want to be the firm that they want to come and work for, right? So the firm has to be attractive. Not only, when I talk about marketing and like positioning, I think of it as two things, right? One is for your clients, prospective clients. They want to hire you, as well as you want prospective team members to want to work for your firm. So it has to be positioned to do that. And then once we have recruited a team member, it's like, how do you keep them? And the best way to keep them is to create an environment that they enjoy being part. So if we think about it for ourselves, like what kind of an environment do you want to be in that you enjoy? For the most part, we want to be, in an environment that appreciates us, that acknowledges us,
yes,
that empowers us, that recognizes us, right? So that's the simplicity of it, is like create that type of an environment, where people, they never feel alone. They're part of an organization that supports them. And so really kind of realizing that's the simplicity of it, that's what's needed to do. And then you have frequent communication, frequent meetings to create a clear, fluid communication system. So now we're engaged, the team is engaged, meeting with them regularly. And each team member knows they've got their voice matters. They matter. They matter, and they count. They're an important element of the organization. And so, for me as a CEO, that's my role, is to kind of impart that as much as I can. This is who we are. This is an organization that supports you, that empowers you. We want to get the best from you. We want to create that environment, that comfortable, safe environment where you can be yourself. And I've seen people respond very well to that. And people want to be part of such an organization. And good people tell other good people. They tell their best friends that this is who we are. And then we get referrals, one team member referring another.
And, and I can't help but think that another part of what helps keep people there is the third leg of your genius system, the processes and systems. Because it seemed to me that part of the chaos of being in many CPA firms was the lack of really solid processes and systems for getting the work done. We were just kind of thrown, well, here's all the papers, and then somehow you have to put that together and put a nice package together for tax return. So how does that help with people and client service?
Yeah. And, it's brilliant how you connected it to that, just to the streamlined operation and systems. And so, Liz, if you were part of the Straight Talk organization, me recognizing the way you connected it, right? So I'm trying to not make it all about Salim here, right? I brought you in that conversation by recognizing, and this is kind of like an element that we try and do as much as we can, is recognize people when they have got that idea, they've got that spark of genius that they share. We say it, we acknowledge it. And so I did that with you. I just did that with you. And it was a spark of genius in how you made that connection, because what frustrates people, what frustrates team members is when they don't have that visibility and they're struggling and they're waiting for hours and hours for something that, piece of information that can easily be there. And so having those
Mm-hmm.
systems and the pipeline that's visible, and they know where the client's at in the stage, and having all the documents in a place where they know it's going to have those that place. And if somebody had a conversation with that client, they've updated it so it's got the most up-to-date information on that client. And somebody's working on a tax return or something, they're not stranded and they're not getting frustrated. Why oh man, why didn't Susan put that information there? And she talked to him, and I have no idea now. I have to wait for Susan till tomorrow. Like, none of that, right? You just kind of take all that away. Makes us more efficient as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so systems and processes, and I mean, that's been an important part of our focus the last couple of years, is focus, emphasizing on the technology aspect of it and the automation.
Absolutely. Now, we're sort of at a transition point between the old style of leadership, which was very much top down. We had this rigid hierarchy, this rigid pyramid where everybody kind of fit in. But now we're at a transition point to a new kind of leadership where it's more collaborative and more humane. And what advice do you have for accountants who want to be better leaders?
Yeah, and I've seen the change in our industry. People are more aware of the change. It's different, I think, now than it used to be, say, 20 years ago in corporate America, or
Mm-hmm.
leadership has had to make the change because the team has said this won't work. We are a team. And, I think of it as servant leadership. And it's a book I read some 20 some years ago, or 25 years ago, by James Hunter. And it's a best-selling book, and it's a phenomenal book. And even if somebody doesn't want to read the book, just the title says a lot. Servant leadership. It's really your role as the owner, as the CEO, is to serve your team. And so just come to them and have those conversations and really hear where are they at and what are their concerns and what are the things they enjoy, what are the things they don't enjoy, so that you can do something about it. And when we as leaders come with that type of a mindset, our team, they appreciate it. They know that I'm not in for myself, I'm in for us. It's we, it's not I. It's not like, yeah, everyone benefits. If we grow, if we get better, everyone gets better. And if a team member sees that, I think they'll work with their heart. They'll work with their soul in that business. They won't work as an employee type of a mindset. They're like all in. And that's what we want. We want people that are all in. It's ownership thinking. They're thinking like owners because they matter.
Yeah, they're less a cog in the wheel and more part of an integral whole that is trying to achieve a specific goal. Yeah. Now, as we move through our careers, many of us make mistakes, and it's frequently the mistakes that we learn the most from. Now, what would be the most valuable mistake that you've made? And this is valuable in terms of the learning that came out of it.
Liz, that's a tough question. Oh my goodness. There's so many mistakes that I've made. I mean, what comes to my mind now as you ask this question is not to be egoistical. And to this day, I've gotta remember for my pride and for my ego not to be the thing that's saying things in a certain way or that's remarking in a certain way. And I want to do things for the benefit of the organization, even though they may not be what I thought would be right or what would be good. And so that's been an important learning for me to take my organization from where it is to now where we are going. And we've got big plans with not only organic growth, we are growing a lot. We are acquiring other firms as well. We've acquired 2 firms this year. And that path is going to continue happening in the years to come. And in order for me to play my role as a CEO, I need to build a team and put people in charge that are going to think differently than I may be thinking. And I got to respect that, and I've got to give them the space. And so I've got to keep my ego in check at all times. And that's not an easy thing to do for, I think, any human being.
Right.
But that awareness has been, I think, important lately, this past year or so. But I think it's going to be even more important as we continue to grow in my firm.
That's a really good lesson. And I think putting your ego aside is a lesson that I wish some of the bosses that I had could have taken to heart. Now, accountants, they by now, if they've been listening to my podcast, if they've been listening to your podcast, Salim, they should know lots of things that they ought to be doing. But what is one of the things that accountants should stop doing immediately?
Preparing and reviewing tax returns, like not doing any of the preparation stuff, create the system, the team that can do that. I just see too many CPAs doing that, and they're the highest paid employee, and they're doing work that can be delegated. And so, that's like a low-hanging fruit. Stop doing that, the preparation and the review stuff.
Absolutely. I think that every one of the CPAs that I worked for, every one of the partners I ever worked for was guilty of continuing to do at least the review, if not also bits and pieces of the preparation work. So, yes, absolutely.
Right. Yeah. And if the CPA wants to monetize this change from being the preparer and the reviewer and doing a higher level service, the best way to do that is to schedule a call with your client and ask them some questions. Just get to know them, how they are, what's going on. Yeah, a little bit of that. And say, hey, if you don't mind, I'm just changing the focus of my practice, and I'd like to just kind of ask you, where are you at? What are some of your challenges that you're faced with currently? And the business owner, if they've got a good relationship, and most CPAs have an amazing relationship with their client, they'll open up and they'll say, you know what, I'm challenged with this. My pricing, my profits seem to be declining. I'm just having a hard time finding the right team, what have you, right? And then you say, hey, if you appreciate you sharing that, what do you envision? Where do you want to be 3 years, 5 years from now? And the business owner will say, you know what, I'd love to grow my business. I'd love to double it within the next 3 years. And now they've opened up and shared with you where they want to go. what are they looking to do? And then you go on and say, you know what? I really appreciate you sharing all this with me. I've been taking notes as we've been talking. And I've changed the focus of my practice where I'm helping business owners get from where they are to where they want to go. And the way I'm doing that is meeting with them throughout the year. Every quarter, we meet, financial statements in front of us, we review the previous quarter, and we plan for the next quarter. Would something like that, what are your thoughts? Would that something like that be useful? Would that be valuable to you? What's the business owner going to say? Yes,
Mhm.
it's going to be valuable. I don't have anyone. My spouse is tired of me talking about business. My employees don't want to talk about business. I don't have anyone to talk to about my business. I'd love that. And we're changing our packaging, and this is what it would look like. Financial statement, our service packages. We'll prepare your financial statements. We'll have a CFO call at the end of a quarter. Before the year end, we'll have a couple of tax planning strategy sessions to make sure you're not paying any more to Uncle Sam. And that's what our new service package would be. And a good fraction of your clients will take up the person, the CPA, to do this, right? Maybe not everyone's going to make that switch, but 20% or 30%, the ones that want to grow, are going to say, you know what? I'm willing to take a shot. Can we do this for 6 months? Can we do this for a year? Can we try it out? And once they see that, the value they're getting from that, they never want to go and change it to just compliance, because now they've got a partner that is invested in their future. And Liz, I've been doing these meetings for many, many years. My team, several of my team members do these meetings. It's not rocket science to have a CFO call. It's looking at I just had one with one of my clients just before this call. That's why I was running late. With somebody in the home healthcare that's going to generate 3.7 million in revenues this year. And it was an amazing CFO call. Just looked at the P&L. Yeah, just some basic stuff in terms of having a conversation, what's happening. It was a 45-minute call, but the client felt time well invested. And that's the nature of the relationship. And I bet you a lot of our listeners here would enjoy that instead of preparing or reviewing a tax return.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I remember when I used to talk to my former boss about that, and his eyes would just light up with the promise and the possibility of doing more for the clients than just filling out the tax return and telling them how much they have to write their checks to the IRS for. And so many people I talk to who need an accountant would actually love to have somebody like that who answers the calls and who is proactive and who is willing to ask those questions that we all want to ask, we all want to talk about, but nobody ever asks us those.
Yeah. And the secret, Liz, is we as accountants, we don't have to be the people that have all the answers. Our clients, our business owners, they're intelligent people. They know their business more than we'll ever know. And we just have to have that conversation and ask those clarifying questions so the client becomes clear about the path forward. They're stuck, but it's because no one's asking them and helping them through it. And if we just kind of go a couple of layers deeper in saying, hey, tell me more. When does that happen? And the client's going to start talking. And the client's going to start finding a solution, and so will you, yeah, as the listener. And that's kind of what it is. So it's not rocket science. It's just that willingness to ask those questions, to show up for our clients, because they are struggling. Many are struggling in one way or another. And as accountants, the relationship we have cannot be underestimated. The relationship the accountant has, nobody in the world, no other profession has this type of a relationship. Attorneys, nobody has this type of relationship that we have with our clients. They trust us for the right reasons, because this is who we are as a profession, as accountants. And we just want to now take it to the next level with them.
I love that idea of just being a good listener. And I think that that is the perfect note to end our conversation on. Thank you so much, Salim, for speaking to us today. And now, if listeners want to connect with you, where is the best way to find you?
On social media, Straight Talk Transitions is my organization or my brand, working with retirement-minded CPA firm owners that want to kind of, they're now thinking about the next chapter in their life. And so look me up there. Send me an email on my email address, salim@straighttalkcpas.com. If somebody wants to jump on a call with me or wants some advice, I'm just happy to do that. No charge. But yeah, I'm just here to help my fellow colleagues take it to the next level, whatever that may look like for them.
Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day today, Salim.
Thank you, Liz. I appreciate the invitation, and I think you did an awesome job at all the questions you asked me. So thank you.
Thank you.